So generally, looking at our lessons, a sequence means a related number of lessons. Now, I have a question here that has been asked. Should personal aims be content or behavior based, procedural or approach based? Anything that you need to improve upon should be used as your personal aim. So if it's content, perhaps you favor a particular type of content, but you think your children actually love some other type of content. So you might want to say, okay, let me try to teach English using so and so content. So it could be development for you, a personal development for you, or it could be behavioral. It could be classroom management, managing behavior during your classroom. So, but it's you. It has to do with your own improvement in the context of English language teaching. It could be a procedure that you want to master, you know, something, maybe a technique, an approach. So it depends on your need. It could be any of them. It's developing you as you go along. So as your learners are learning, you're also improving in your teaching. If you'd like to ask further questions, please go ahead. All right, so a sequence of lessons is what we're looking at. And a sequence has to do with a related number of lessons. So maybe 10 lessons, 25 lessons, or if you're teaching English 5 times a week, multiply that by approximately 10 to 11 weeks, depending on your scheme of work or your term. So you're looking at creating approximately 50 lessons. Okay, so we can create different types of sequence. For example, the structural sequence, because we have a particular, I'm using the Nigerian context now, you have grammar as a lesson. So within your planning, you should have a structural sequence. If you're going to teach structure or grammar, where do you start and how do you build upon? What are the topics? What are the approaches? There should be a sequence that builds one on the other, you know. But if it's a skills lesson, we usually have composition as a skills lesson, okay? And we're supposed to have oral English or maybe speaking as a skills sequence. How do we arrange our skills lessons within the sequence of related lessons? Then we could also look at project work sequence, researching and writing up topics, doing a class survey to gather opinions. You know, if we want to integrate project work, what is the sequence that we'll use? So this is just to highlight the fact that as you're thinking about your lessons in advance, you have to think of the sequence. If you're teaching form is another expression from grammar, okay? The form of a word. Could it be an adjective? Is it a past form? Is it present form? Is it future form? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective or adverb, or what is it? Preposition? So that's the structural sequence. How do I start? And which is the next topic that should go with that? Now, that doesn't mean that I should teach only grammar from day 1 to day 5 in a week. No, it just means that if my grammar is on a particular day of the week, what is the next sequence that I should follow that next day of the week? All right, so it's just helping us to think. So for example, let's look at 2 lessons and you can see that they are related. So in lesson 1, my stage 1 would be mingling, doing a mingling activity to match vocabulary. So maybe I cut up vocabulary words, you know, into pieces, and I'm teaching compound nouns. So for the first 5 minutes, I give the words to my learners and say, find somebody who has the other part of the word that you're holding. So learners go around, what do you have? Class. What's your own? Bread. Oh, no, it's not related. What do you have? Class. What do you have? Room. Classroom. That's a word. Then you find your partner and you stop. So you're mingling around, finding someone who has the extra word. And that is my introduction to compound nouns, for example. So after that, we do a text. We read about a seaside, and usually with reading, we like to discuss before we read the text, okay, to create some excitement or understanding, or give the children an opportunity to ask questions or get clarification. Then after we read the text, we explore the form of the language. So this means it's actually a grammar language. We're exploring the form. And so maybe the teacher will say, what do you notice about this writing? It's nice, it's interesting. What words make it interesting? Which words, what kind of words from the text help you to see this seaside? Somebody will say, oh, the ocean, it says it's a beautiful ocean. The ocean is blue. Fantastic. Can somebody else find me another word that describes this? Etc. And you can just go on exploring the text. Okay, so after that, we do individual writing because we have explored the text and we have seen what adjectives are like. So the next level might be an individual activity where individuals write paragraphs with their own adjectives. We exchange our essays, our paragraphs, so the teacher talks over them, we describe, we look at it and all of that, and then we do a whole class discussion on adjectives. Now, in the next lesson, okay, we do a warmer describing someone near you. Now, notice that we have gone from description and we've taken that to revise it. We put it in the warmer, the 5-minute activity. Can you describe someone? Oh, my classmate, she's tall, she's slim, she's beautiful, and she's talkative. Okay, so those are descriptions. Then the students walk across the classroom in style. Teacher asks the students, I want you to all walk across the classroom with attitude. All right. So people volunteer and then they walk across the classroom and students are supposed to describe the style of walk. What are we doing? We're doing adverbs. So we do a substitution drill where we use pronunciation, but we substitute. She's walking, somebody will say psychedelically. Then everybody will say again, she's walking. Somebody might say smartly, just a game. So more physical activity showing different manners of doing things, some group work to create paragraphs to describe how people are doing things, the manner in which they're doing things, that's adverbs. And then we discuss the difference between adjectives and adverbs. So you can see that using description and adjectives, we can move into the next lesson, bring a little bit of that last lesson to the warmer activity, and use the same style of description to connect adverbs to adjectives. Adjectives describe something, they describe things in terms of quality, while adverbs describe things in terms of how, manner, the style, etc. So there's a relationship between adjectives and adverbs. So this is an example of planning ahead to make sure that lesson 1 appears very little, in a very little way, but it appears in there. There's a revision of it, and then it connects to the second lesson in the sequence of a whole lot of lessons.